Hey guys, this is Jason Morris with Facebook group Real Estate Agents That Really Work, and I'm on the phone with Tim Macy. So Tim, you want to introduce yourself and tell people what you do?
Sure. Thanks, Jason. I'm a real estate agent down here in San Antonio, Texas, specialized in working with investors. I've been doing it for about 2 years now.
That's awesome. So you've been in the business for 2 years total?
Yeah, I got out of the Air Force down here in 13, kind of kicked around a little bit, realized I never wanted somebody else to be in control of my paycheck. I wanted to write my own check, and then decided real estate was going to be the avenue that I took to do that, and then dove in head first.
Cool. So your background's in the Air Force. So man, you must have have that military background. You must have just impeccable discipline.
I wouldn't say that. I mean, I think discipline's like fitness, right? I mean, if you work out all the time, you're in great shape. But if you're not constantly working on your discipline, you can get pretty undisciplined pretty easily.
Yeah, that's funny, man. Well, you do a lot of cool stuff, and one of the things I wanted to ask you about is your 5 a.m. club.
Yeah, so 5 a.m. club was a thing that I'm from Connecticut, so I'm an East Coast guy, New England guy originally. And when I was home, one of the agents up there that I know told me, we were out getting drinks one night. He's like, "Hey, I got to go home because I got a 5 a.m. call in the morning." And I was like, "What the heck is a 5 a.m. call?" And so he got me on it. And all it is a couple guys. Well, that group's actually pretty big now, but it's a group of us, and we jump on the phone at 5 a.m. Somebody leads the call for 5 minutes and just has, little inspirational word, a little tactical word, just something for 5 minutes to get you going. And the idea is that being kind of these entrepreneurial people that we are, there's nobody telling us we got to be at the office at 8 or we got to be at the office at 9. And, there's no, list of things to do. And so a lot of times people make their own schedule. But what you realize is that, mornings, being effective in the morning can really set yourself up for success and maybe rise above your peers a little bit if you intentionally are getting up early and getting things done and being effective. You can add another 2 hours to your workday that nobody else has.
So it's kind of similar to the I know a lot of people have heard of, I think his name's Hal Aaron or
Hal Elrod in the Miracle.
Elrod, yes, Hal
Yeah.
Elrod. And I told you I was horrible with names, man. But his Miracle Morning. So is it similar to that, or same idea, concept?
So the Miracle Morning has a bunch of great practices. I think there's 5 or 6 things to do. I don't do all of them, but having an effective morning routine is important with the call, right? If you jump on the 5 a.m. call at 5 and then just go sit on Facebook until 7, you're not really getting any, it's not really helping out too much. So
what if you get on the call and then you go back to bed afterwards?
Yeah, that type of thing, right? That's not going to help you out too much. The idea is that yes, the call is just an accountability thing. It's a social thing, right? It's a group thing. You're not doing it alone. It's kind of a nice community deal where, you get up at 5 a.m., you get on the call, there's 5 minutes or whatever. After that, though, hopefully the call has left you somewhat inspired enough, if I've done my job right, to go and work out and exercise. And, a lot of people like to journal. A lot of people like to do affirmations, visualizations, whatever those habits look like for you, that you get those done and you're invigorated and effective in the morning.
So what's your typical, okay, so you get up, I guess a few minutes before or prepare the night before. So you get up early enough to be on the call at 5 a.m.
So
then what happens after that?
So I get up around 3:50, 3:55 because I'm on my East Coast call, which is at 4 a.m. for me in Texas. So the 5 a.m. club on the East Coast is 4 a.m. for me. So on a good morning, I'm usually walking out the door for my run, and I'm hitting the dial number on the phone there to dial into the 4 a.m. call. I do my morning run, come home, hopefully eat my healthy breakfast, and prep for the 5 a.m. call. And then if I'm giving the call, right, like some weeks I'll lead it, I usually take 10, 15 minutes or so to kind of rerun through whatever I'm going to, do on that morning. Do my 5 a.m. call, and then 5:05, 5:06. I dive right into my to-do list and my emails and whatnot, and the stuff that I really don't like doing because if, it's the, oh, geez, who was it? Mark Twain?
Eat the frog thing.
Yeah, swallow the frog first thing in the morning.
Yeah.
My best mornings are when I can swallow the frog and do the admin stuff that I hate doing. I mean, I despise paperwork. So if I can get that done
the same
first
way.
thing,
I'm the worst
it
paperwork
sets me up
person.
for success the rest of the day.
Yeah. My paperwork problem lots of times, it isn't actually doing the paperwork, like getting the listing agreement signed. It's getting the listing agreement from my car to the scanner. That's my issue.
Tiny scanner on your phone.
Yeah. You know what? I've been using that. I've used the cam scanner and stuff on my phone, and I really like it. I even paid for the Pro app, or whatever, so I could scan more than 10 pages. But sometimes still, my days are kind of crazy. But I do kind of the same thing you do. I don't get up at 5 a.m. I'm usually up about 5:30, 5:45.
Yeah.
And but for me, I'm like, this is one thing, and I guess it's from being in the business so long. I hate when my phone rings and I get woke up in the morning, right? So when I was younger, I've been in the business for almost 14 years. So when I was younger, I would do like a lot of other agents do, man. I'd get up whenever I felt like it, I didn't really have a time to be there. So hey, if I slept till 8:30, 9 o'clock, didn't really matter. I was going to get up and I was going to go to work. I had it ingrained in my mind, as long as I work 8 hours, things are going to be fine, And I got to where, as I got busier in the business, it got to where, man, my phone started ringing earlier and earlier. So I made it kind of a practice. I don't answer my phone before 8 a.m. unless I really like you. You know what I mean? It's like my mom calling or, somebody I know real well, one of my friends. I don't get a lot of calls before 8 a.m., but
I get a ton. I have a 7 a.m. call with Emily. I have a lot of times like my team member calls because they all know I'm up so early. I try to knock out all of the team stuff, like pretty much all of the business stuff, right? Like if I'm emailing another agent or I'm talking to somebody that's on my team about a deal or anything, I try to get as much of that done before 8 a.m. because when 8 a.m. hits, or 9, whatever your comfort zone is, now it's client time, right? As opposed to if you're waiting to pick up the phone until 9 a.m. and you have to call clients and your colleagues, you're not getting as much done. So I actually do a bunch of phone calls before then. If that may sound a little strange, but that's just how we kind of roll.
Well, let me ask you, to get up at 3:55, what time are you going to bed?
I try to go to bed at 9:30 every night.
So you're in bed by 9:30?
Yeah, early down guy. I mean, for me, if I'm staying up to 11, it's usually watching some stupid show on Hulu. It's not really effective time for me past 9 o'clock.
Now, let me ask, are you married? Do you have kids or anything?
Married with a 2-year-old.
Man. See, that's amazing. Laura, we're having a baby. So our baby's due in July, so we're kind of, we're getting ready for all that. But man, if I told Laura every night, hey, I'm going to go to bed at about 8:30, 9 o'clock, man, that'd be impossible at my house, I feel like. So is she on board with you at the 4 a.m.? Getting up at 4 a.m. too?
No, not at all. No, but we try to, it's the baby's coming. It's all about the baby. That's all that matters, right? You got to get the baby to sleep. If my wife's up a little later doing something or she's up a little later and I'm up, that doesn't really matter. What matters is getting that baby to fall asleep at 9:30 every night.
Really? Yeah, man. I'm usually up to about. I usually go to bed around 11, but I'll tell you, man. For me, like 11 o'clock. Actually, most days, like 8:30 in the afternoon, I feel like I'm brain dead. Like I'll play around on Facebook, watch TV. Just really do nothing. Maybe I'll read. But but man, how do you go from 4 a.m. in the morning, 4 or
So
5 o'clock
what do
in the
you do?
afternoon?
What do you do the first thing you wake up?
For me, dude, I am like on fire the first when I first get up in the morning. It's like I get up, I go through my little morning routine, brushing my teeth, all that stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
And then man, I am typically at the office by like 6:30. Like I'll get some
Okay.
breakfast, get some coffee, things like that. I'm at the office
But
by
you're saying you
6:30.
crash out at like 8? You get what were you saying?
About usually man, a lot of days like 5, 6 o'clock. Like my days are typically, dude, my phone does not stop most days. If I'm not on the phone
Yeah.
making calls in the mornings, then I'm with a client. I'm going to meet a client. I'm, on the phone with an agent dealing with a contract or something random. So like seriously, like 5:30, 6 o'clock, I feel like I'm brain dead some days. It's like, don't talk to me. That's how I feel.
Well,
Don't
listen,
talk to me.
but I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I'm always working on something, right? I try to work on one thing at a time. But one thing I'm working on is trying to put the phone down at 7:30 or 8 because, there's not much unless it's negotiations and there's a single deal going on that's, got some issues. There's not much that my phone rings for after 7:30 or 8 that I can't address at 5 a.m.
That actually makes sense. You know what? I've told people this before, but there's no emergencies in the real estate business. If somebody's house is on fire, unless you're a firefighter and you're off time, then that's not really your responsibility. If they're having a heart attack, most any emergency that could possibly happen, it's probably not our responsibility. There are no real emergencies in the real estate business. Most everything.
And then the other thing too, it's funny you say this because this comes up a lot with some of our newer agents is in negotiations, right? Like something comes up and they're like wanting to do 20 different things, and a lot of times time in negotiations is your friend, right? Like if you can get patient, if that other agent is calling you 20 times at 8 o'clock at night because you just asked them for a price change and they want to argue with you about it, and a lot of times if you wait till the morning, they're like, all right, let's just do it,
Yep. I've seen that before too. Like lots of times I've noticed that the reason they're calling you 20 times is either because they're desperate for the deal themselves,
Yep.
or their buyer or seller's desperate for the deal.
Yes.
I think lots of times when agents are doing that, going, I got to know now, and they're just blowing you up, calling you every 10 or 15 minutes. I hate to think like this sometimes, but I feel like they're showing their hand in negotiating the contract.
Yeah.
I mean, they're showing
it's the way I do it, and it's not necessarily the right way, but because I deal in investment properties and my clients are investors and they're not as emotionally attached, it's just a numbers game, like we're not in the win-win situation game. I'm in my client getting his number game, which is different, so when when an other agent emails me and they're like, our client doesn't accept that, and then they're looking for a conversation, and all I give them is a okay and send, and that's it. There's a lot to be said for the short email negotiations.
Now let me ask you about that. Now, you only specialize in working with investors, is that right?
Yeah, that's it. I do a couple of, hey, my cousin's in San Antonio, can you help them out? I do a little bit of that, but pretty much focus solely on investors.
Really? So how did you decide, hey, I'm just going to work with investors, and what do you actually do with investors?
So, I'm glad you brought this up because I see so many agents, these days that are like, hey, I have an investor, and they have no idea what they're doing. And so they get a quote-unquote investor client, and, the investor kicks them around for a while. They never close a deal, and they're like, oh, investors are a waste of time. And they definitely are a waste of time if you don't know how to add value to them. Does that make sense?
Yeah, of course, of course. I do some investment stuff too. I kind of do a little mixed. I do a lot of investment stuff, but then I do a lot of like traditional random brokerage. So how did you decide? Hey, look, I want to work with investors versus working with general home buyers and sellers, general real estate
Well,
people.
one, I didn't know anybody in San Antonio, right? So I had no sphere of influence. And numbers-wise in my head, I kind of said, okay, if I can go get an investor client, in theory, if they're going to do 10 deals a year, I've got myself 10 deals a year, right? Instead of finding one buyer and whatnot, right? Yeah. Well, it makes sense in theory. It doesn't work out as well in practice. But overall, and I also knew that I wanted to invest in real estate myself. So why not, focus on investors, learn from them while I work for them, and set myself up better when I'm ready to invest myself was kind of the reasoning behind it.
So how did you find your first investor?
Well, I went to all the workshops. I went to all the meetings. I went to all the real estate groups. And, I'll give you a quick story. So I went to a real estate investment group, and this was a good one. These are the ones that I like, where it's just a bunch of guys sitting in a circle talking about different stuff they have going on. Nobody's pitching a course or anything else, just some guys talking shop. And there were a lot of owner finance guys. And, I'm not the smartest guy, but my strengths are relationships and listening, right? Like listening and kind of being able to figure out a situation. And so the Dodd-Frank legislation came up a bunch of times when people were talking about owner financing houses. So, one guy would say, oh, yeah, I'm compliant. You can do this. And another guy would say, yeah, I'm compliant. I know my loan officer does all this stuff. But listening, I could tell nobody really knew what the heck was going on with Dodd-Frank. Like they were kind of, nobody would speak in detail about it. And so I went home and I did what may sound crazy, but I actually read the law, right? Like I researched it and I read it and I picked out the parts they were asking questions about. And the next month I went back and they were, Dodd-Frank came up again. And so I said, hey, Dodd-Frank says that you can, your interest rate can be 6.5% over the prime rate. So whatever the prime rate is plus 6.5%, that's what's in the actual law. And everybody kind of turned and looked at me and they said, oh, he knows what he's talking about. So after I established myself as somebody that knows what they're talking about, then all of a sudden people were looking to possibly, do business with me. So I just, education. Don't talk about stuff you don't know about, learn about it. And then once you become educated and know what you're talking about, people will realize that and they'll work with you.
I feel like that is, I feel like that's a good point. Like a lot of agents that say, hey, I want to work with investors, but they've never bought an investment property. They don't know how to figure out the numbers on investment property, or they don't know how to figure out the numbers on a flip. Mm-hmm. So then they turn around and they want the investor to educate them on it. And that don't really work out, does it?
Well, it's not that. Look, successful investors, right? The most of them that I've met also naturally are teachers. They want to teach people. They don't mind showing you stuff. But you have to understand, too, the ones you want to work with have a million people that want to teach them. I see people posting online all the time. I want to get started in real estate investment. Can somebody mentor me? Like some guy that's doing 50 deals, 50 flips a year is on Facebook, and somebody pops up. He's going to, oh, yeah, I'll mentor that guy. No way, right?
He's going down through Facebook going, I'm looking for somebody to mentor today. It's on my to-do list. I got to find that person.
Yeah. No, it's ridiculous.
You don't have time for that.
So if you really want to do this investment thing, right, there's so many ways you can do it. There's so much stuff out there that you can do. It's really just like retail. If more people had this outlook on being a retail agent as well. But when I look at the investment space, we're doing different things. But really, all I'm doing is saying, look, how can Tim Macy, how can I add value to real estate investors? That's all that matters, right? Like, how can I add value to real estate investors? I'm not a construction guy, right? I'm not going to help them rehab the property. I don't have a bunch of money. I'm not going to help them finance the property. The only thing that I can help them do is help them find a good deal, right? Like, find a good deal for the investor, and I can help them sell, a beautifully renovated house. I can help them on the entry, and I can help them on the exit, and that's all I focus on. So I just hammer in on where I can add value to the investor. So if you bring an investor a deal and say, hey, I have this house, seller's getting foreclosed on in a week, I think it'd be a good deal for you. I think it'd be a good solution for them, and they come in and it's great, then all of a sudden you've added value. Now you go, after you've brought them a deal, after you've added value to them, and say, hey, what are your numbers on this? How much does it cost to do a floor? How do you go about the renovation? You know what I mean? Like, add value and then ask.
Yep. Then ask questions. Yeah, and you kind of figure out, like here, I kind of learned, like, hey, a room of carpet, depending on the carpet, basic carpet, typically it costs us about $300, $350 in our market. Air conditioner kind of costs this. It roughly costs, a gallon of paint to cover 400 square feet if you're lucky. Things like that. So, man, the deals that you're finding these people, and I think this is something that I've seen a lot in these groups. People go, oh, I've got an investor looking for off-market deals. Are you going and looking for properties not on the market? Are you looking through MLS?
So,
how are you finding deals for these people?
I mean, every once in a while there'll be something on MLS. I think we did one deal on MLS so far this year. I think I did 4 or 5 on MLS last year. Most of this stuff, though, is, there's a vacant house on Main Street, okay? And
you're tracking down that person.
You're tracking down that person. But there's no, like, you can look online and they'll tell you a million different ways that you can automate it and everything. It's pretty tough to automate our business, right? Like, most of the deals we get are there's a vacant house and we knock on the neighbor's door and we say, neighbor, what's going on with the vacant house next to you? And the neighbor will tell you, yeah, that's Jeff's house. Jeff died. His sister lives in Oregon and now she has the house. But it's like, there's no easy way to do it, right? It's hard work. That's all.
Yeah. It's hard work. Yeah, exactly. I just had the same conversation with somebody else. They were talking about finding deals and stuff. And one thing I used to do more than what I'm currently doing is it was like all of a sudden, man, it's like everybody and their brother were sticking up "We Buy Houses" signs on street corners. And most of these guys that are doing that, they don't really have the money. If they found a deal today, they really don't have the money to close on it. They bought a course online, or they bought a book, or went to a little weekend seminar. And the thing is, they took action, which is amazing. A lot of people, that's where they mess up. They go get the knowledge, and they never take action on it.
Yeah.
And so they put up all these signs, and they have people calling them, and they don't know what to do with them. Or they put them under contract, and they can't really close. So I started calling a bunch of those guys and going, hey, look, I got clients, I got money, I got this, I'm looking for deals. We will buy anything. We have money in the bank right now to buy stuff. We bought X number of properties. And the beautiful thing that started happening was these guys started calling me back, and these guys started calling me with deals and stuff. So typically what would happen is you'd have a client, you'd end up assigning them letting them assign your client a couple of properties, getting paid a little real estate commission, or a little fee on the front, then hopefully getting to list it and sell it on the back, So I was doing some of those and getting like steady fed some deals for a while, but a lot of those guys, what would end up happening was, they do it, they make a couple $1,000 here and there, and then you would never hear from them again, and their phone's disconnected.
So we've bought we buy a good amount from wholesalers. The problem, well, so from an agent's perspective, right, because we're talking to agents, I think this is where I see agents talking bad about working with investors, especially in our market because it's very saturated with investors. I mean, the Flip This House guy started in San Antonio, so all those courses, come through here every other week.
Oh,
and
yeah.
the problem is, for real estate agents, is somebody calls them and says, hey, I'm a cash buyer. I want to flip houses, and, I want you to be my agent. And they get all excited about it, but they haven't screened the investor. As important, that's the most important thing there is, right? Like, who is the investor? Does the investor have numbers that you can reasonably find him in the market? So I'll have a guy call me and say he wants deals at 70% of ARV minus repairs. That's a pretty standard number, comes straight from the workshops. They tell you to buy.
Yep.
We don't have 70% deals in San Antonio. The good deals are selling at like 75 up to 80% are really what deals are selling for. So if your investor can't make numbers work at 75% deals, it's not an investor you want. So, and then if you have somebody that calls you and say, hey, I buy houses cash, all this stuff, give me your listings, make sure they're not a wholesaler. You know what I mean? Because you don't want to just be sending in lowball offers for a wholesaler, so a wholesaler can take flip it for $5,000 more.
How do you avoid that? Because there's a lot of people out here. They call up a bunch of agents. And they go, they pitch them on allowing them to submit a bunch of offers. Like I got one the other day. I got a listing that's priced at $160,000. I got an offer emailed over to me for $75,000, and I'm going, dude,
Yeah. I mean,
what are you wanting? Are you wanting half the house?
Yeah.
But how do you, as an agent, what do you do when those people call you that are saying, hey, Tim, I want to put in 10 offers a day?
So one thing is I'll defend that guy a little bit because that's how the couple deals I've gotten in MLS have been those deals. I mean, not, we just, you got to send in the offers because there's soft spots and you don't know where they are. So, maybe your seller needs to sell in a week and he takes 75, like you never know. That's why they send them in. But on to your question, one thing that I do, because I get these emails all the time because I have a fairly large presence as an investment real estate agent in San Antonio. So I get these emails constantly. And I have fun with it because some of them are really well written. I think like part of some of these programs is they give you these pre-written emails to send to agents.
Yep.
And so I just say, sure, send me portfolio stuff you've done in San Antonio. Like send me some addresses of the renovations so I can check them out.
And what happens? It's crickets?
Crickets. Yeah. Yeah. And if they do send me some, right, like maybe they'll send me, 123 Main Street, and I'll look at it, and 123 Main Street's been flipped, and I'll look, and it's been flipped by a guy I know, and I'm like, okay, maybe they wholesaled them that property, but they're not the ones that actually did the renovation. So asking them for addresses of stuff they've done before you start working with them is great. And then look, if they say, hey, I've never done a deal before, I mean, that's a different conversation. If you want to take that on, that's fine. Just know that if you want to take that on, the amount of work, more work it's going to take than if you just work with an experienced guy.
So let me ask you this. Okay, say I'm a brand new agent getting in the business, right?
Yep.
I'm a brand new agent getting in the business. I want to work with investors because, hey, I've been reading online and, of course, that's how you get rich is investing in real estate,
Yep.
That's how our president became president, investing in real estate.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for real estate, we wouldn't know who he was. So
right.
where do I get started?
You want to know the real answer?
Yes, the real answer.
Okay. Because the fake one is you can sign up for this course and they'll give you the secret formula that nobody else knows. There is no secret formula. You find the neighborhood that people are investing in. I mean, pretty much every major metropolitan area right now in this market has some up-and-coming area where people are flipping houses, right?
Yep.
Would you agree with that?
I agree.
And you're going to go. into that neighborhood, and you're going to knock on every door and, bring up a different house, right? There's going to be vacant houses in there. Find vacant houses. So say, 26 Laurel Ave is a vacant house. You're going to go around that entire neighborhood. You're going to knock on all those doors and see if anybody knows the owner of 26 Laurel Ave. And then they say, yeah. You may get the same story out of every neighbor, but you're also going to say, I have an investor client that's really looking to buy a house in this neighborhood. Are you interested in selling? You're going to door knock the entire up-and-coming neighborhood, and you'll get a lead or two out of that, and then you're going to bring it to an investor. You're going to connect them to it. You're going to make some money, and then you're going to learn. Because I flipped 2 houses last year, but I've done a lot of transactions for investors. So when I get to the point where I can have all this capital to go do a bunch of them myself, I'm going to have already watched 50, 60 of these deals where I'm not going to make the same mistakes as if I jumped in on them. So the way you want to get started is connect an investor to a deal and then learn as much as possible watching that deal being done. Do that 10, 20 times, and you'll do well.
So first thing you need to do is find deals.
In this market, that's where the value is finding deals. There's a million real estate agents out there with access to MLS that can write offers for investors, right? There's no value add to making offers on MLS. The only value you can add to an investor as an agent right now is finding deals. Because even selling them is not hard, right?
That's right.
It's pretty easy to sell these houses in this market. So, yeah, the single place that you need to focus on if you really want to go out the investment game is find deals, off-market, direct from seller, and find those deals so the investor can get in there and do a project.
Awesome, man. Man, that is fantastic advice. Tim, I really appreciate you doing this with me today, man. If there's an agent that wants to get in touch with you, they have some more questions, maybe they're in your market, they have a deal or something, how would they get in touch with you?
Man, I'm pretty easy to find on Facebook. My Facebook personal profile is, Tim Macy, and I'm friends with you on there. So if we have Jason friends in common, that's me. And then Real Estate Nightmares on Instagram. I got some fun stuff on there. My Snapchat is Real Estate Tim, but I'm not on that too often. But yeah, you can find me. I should be pretty easy to find. TerrellMacyGroup.com is our website. So shoot me a message.
Cool, man. Hey, I really appreciate it. I'm gonna stop the recording now. Hang on.